Happy Saturday, poopshoot.org/yourmama. Leafs game last night. They were in the Rangers for their second last game before the Christmas break. We didn't get to see it because we went to a certain movie that may have opened the other day that was hugely awesome, and I'll get into that later because I'm still digesting and processing everything that I saw to end that saga. So, moving on. I did watch the highlights, and the Leafs came away with a 6-3 victory in very convincing fashion. The first period, they went up 2-0, which is a continuing trend still with them now that Keefe has taken over. They usually get on people early and get that lead and work with the lead rather than trying to come from behind, which was the way they seemed to play under Babs. So the first couple goals were, the first one was a beauty, and it was a passing play between three guys you wouldn't necessarily expect. It was Mikheyev, Justin Holl, and Engvall who finished it all off. A nice, pretty little passing play right inside the Rangers' blue line that saw Engvall take it to the net and slip a nice one past. I'm not even sure how to say the New York goalie's name anymore. Unless Lundqvist started, I didn't even check that. But Georgiev or whatever I think was in for a portion of the game at least if he didn't start. So yeah, I'm not sure who started that game for the Rangers. Actually, I didn't notice that, but I don't think Lundqvist did. But it doesn't matter. Engvall got the goal. It was a beauty. And then the second goal of the period was scored by Nylander, who hadn't scored in about 8 games. Kapanen had it along the right side boards and really had no place, so he just put it on net. And Nylander was sitting in front, it bounced right to him, and it goes. So that's why those two rules about go to the net and a shot from any place is never a bad idea. So those two rules combined for a goal. Unfortunately, in the latter stages of the period, a couple of defensive breakdowns in the Leafs' end resulted in 2 New York Rangers goals that tied it up going into the break. And we know that is the Achilles heel of this team. Their defensive coverage at times can be scary at best. So, but the way they play the game now, especially with the more run and gun style, that's going to be a byproduct of that style of game. So they just got to hope they can outscore guys, which they did in this game. And yeah, so you just take the good with the bad, I guess, in this situation. Third period, the teams would trade goals again. Leafs got on the board first. Marner, who had a really good dangle, he deked Brady Shea out of his jockstrap twice on the way in on a breakaway, but couldn't beat the goalie. And then afterwards, the Leafs got a power play, and fittingly enough, Marner just put a shot. It was like a shot pass on the Rangers' net for somebody to try and tip, and Brady Shea actually got his stick on it instead and put it right past his own goalie. So that was kind of a funny little circumstance. And then in the third period, the Leafs just blew it open with 3 straight goals. Nylander got the first one. Matthews did some really good work to get out of his own end and slipped it up to Nylander on the right wing. He just took a wrist shot from the dot that eluded the goalie, and that was 4-3. And after that, Marner, really good forecheck in the offensive zone, stole it off the left side boards from one of their defensemen, and then just cut straight towards the net and roofed a beauty past the goalie, and that made it 5-3. And then a couple minutes left, Mikheyev added another to make the final 6-3, and yeah, it was a pretty convincing game. Fred looked like he was pretty good, although the Leafs held a major advantage in shots, and it looked like the goals that they did score against him, like he was just hung out to dry from in tight. Like there was not much he could have done about them. So he still looks to be on a bit of a roll. Their power play went 1 for 3. Their penalty killing was perfect, killing off 3 penalties themselves. And it really speaks volumes about this coaching change. I was reading something about the attitude about defensemen jumping up and almost seeming like additional forwards at times, and whereas in the old style with Babcock, the defenseman would have been like, "Oh God, I better get back, I better not." Whereas Keefe's like, "Yeah, go, just go," So they're kind of being let loose, and I don't think there's as many consequences for trying to play to their strengths and trust their offensive skills, which you can really see is starting to shine through in a lot of their performances now. So that's a really good thing. And the other thing I really like about this coaching change is you're seeing huge development from guys like Justin Holl, is the guy that comes to mind first and foremost. I mean, he's been with the Leafs for a number of years now, he's had a couple shots here and there, but Babs always either sent him back to the Marlies or he'd keep him up as their seventh defenseman, and he would always be a healthy scratch. So he wasn't playing in the AHL, he wasn't playing in the NHL, and now that he's had a really good chance given to him this season, like all of a sudden it's like, oh, this guy can play defense, right? Like, so it's crazy. And then he got in on that goal last night, which was beautiful. So I'm really liking where the team's focus and attitude and process where it's going. I'll be really interested come playoff time if they can keep the wins going and get in, how this style of hockey will translate in the playoffs. Because like I said, I think they need to be tougher and better defensively to win one round, let alone four. But I really hope they can make me eat my words. I'll eat them up off a silver platter if that's the case, willingly. So so I'm curious to see about that if it hopefully comes to pass this year. But otherwise, all things are looking up. And then this is a back-to-back situation this weekend. They are in Detroit tonight, and Hutch is going to get the start. They gave him the second one because actually, is it at home or is it? I don't remember. They might be home. I think they were going to give Hutch the easier team in the home game, but maybe they're in Detroit. I don't know. But either way, the Rangers are worse than, or the Red Wings are worse than the Rangers. So hopefully, it'll increase his chances at getting his first win and getting this whole debacle out of the way. So, but we'll see what happens soon enough. Until then, have a great Saturday.